again, you said something that really triggered me, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there, being very transparent. I paid a lot of money. I'm still paying a lot of money to learn something that you just said, which is we don't know anything, basically.
Hmm.
Um, so I finished an undergraduate degree a long time ago, and once I finished, I'm not gonna say I felt like I knew everything about political science, but I did feel like, hey, I do. I got these letters right, so I know
Yeah.
I know more than you do. And then a master's degree, and so my master's degree in post secondary education, and so how could I not know more than the average person about that? It wasn't until I started a doctoral program and was advised to, and when I say advised, is like, if you want to complete this program successfully, this is what you're going to do,
Yeah.
um, to unlearn everything I had learned and to realize that true knowledge is based on true research. And quite frankly, by the time you finish aggregating your research, the facts have probably changed at least a little bit anyway.
Hmm.
So that's a really long and fancy way, and again, expensive way to explain what you just said. We don't know what we think we know. But how humbling is that once you can admit that to yourself? Because now that means a lot of times you really should close this and open
Hmm.
these and open these and not just assume because a message is coming from one place. But then again, that's what you want to hear, right?
Yep.
Um, I don't think it's a secret that I battle, sometimes with like the weight I want to be versus the weight I am versus the weight I used to be, etc. And I can give you a number of reasons, many based in research about why that is, about the preponderance of advertising for unhealthy foods, and about how even when you're traveling, it's easier to get and cheaper to get a soda than actually get some water. Um, it's just there's so much that goes along with it, but the bottom line is I ate it. I took the calories in. I either got to work them off or I got to sit here with them. And when you talk about, say, for example, poor people who are supposed to be part of the majority culture,
Hmm.
but they don't have anything. They don't have anything to show for it.
Hmm.
It's easier to say, well, maybe I need to get out here and kind of huff it like the brother I see over there doing the same thing. Or maybe I can sit here and pretend that that would have been my job, but he took it. Maybe I
Hmm.
can walk through my rural area and look up and see people picking cherries out of the trees, and they don't look like me, but the reason I'm poor is because they're up there and I'm not. But you and I both know I have vertigo. I have no intention of ever getting up there. But isn't it easier to deflect and blame my lack of whatever the of is on someone else? And so I think we see that at every level. I think you get to a certain point where the people who are saying it know it's not true, but they also know how attractive it will be to people who want to believe that and want to hold on to it and want to clasp onto it. And so, for me, watching the current election cycle, I being a person of history, not professionally, but just really enjoying history, I thought it was pretty telling that the Time Magazine Person of the Year is our president elect. And back in 1940 something, it was Adolf Hitler. And again, I'm not trying to be funny or anything. What I'm saying is
Yeah.
history. If you live long enough and or pay attention long enough and or collect information long enough, history will repeat itself.
Yeah.
So now the onus is on us to say, is that what we want? Do we really want history to repeat itself? So now I'm looking at, do I really want history to repeat itself or not? Well, if you do, you got to get my attention, right? So you got to tell me, hey, there's not going to be any more bread unless you let history repeat itself,
Yeah.
right? You won't be able to keep a job unless you let history repeat itself.
Yep.
Again, this is several episodes. We can talk about labor unions that supported a candidate who, for as long as they've been on my radar, has said, I'm anti labor, I'm anti union. And yet you want, so hey, if you break it down to its lowest common denominator, a lot of people went in and pushed that button. We used to say pull the lever, but I don't
Yeah.
know if anybody still does that. Because at least white.
Yeah.
And I know that's a very unpopular thing to say, but you know what? Fight me on it.
Yeah.
If you can show me another reason that the majority of these groups that you yourself said voted against their own interest, then you know what? Teach me. Because again, I know I don't know everything, but this is something I have looked at stats on, not just current stats, but going back in history. And that's the real reason. And so if you're saying, well, at least white, is that saying a lot about me and other cultures like mine? Or is it telling me more about you? Sit with that. What does that say about you? That you are willing to give up almost everything because you're afraid of equity, which
Yep.
brings us back around full circle.
Yeah. And yeah, that was pretty good. Wow. Yeah, it's